Hey, Zoltan here. Today, I'm going to give you something no other channel is offering. I'm going to show you exactly what the original artist's intentions were with Dragon Quest VII. I'm talking about Yuji freaking Horii's original intentions. How am I going to do that? Well, I played Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, Dragon Warrior 7 for the PS1, and Dragon Quest VII for the PS1 in Japanese, up to the end of the first island. You're going to know how accurate the original English translation is, what art was censored, what story changes were made, and you're going to find out that Dragon Warrior 7 for PS1 isn't actually slow at all, and that everybody was wrong, and good old Zoltan was right all along. The first thing I'd like to tell you about are the name changes across all three versions. Starting with the name of the game. In Japan, the title translates to Dragon Quest VII, The Warriors of Eden. What? On PS1, it's just Dragon Warrior 7. And on PS5, it's called Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. Next, we have Mare in Japanese, Molly on PS1, and on PS5, she is now Pearl. Your friend is Kifa in Japanese and Kiefer on PS1 and PS5. Your friend that's a girl but totally not your girlfriend is Mariberu in Japanese, Maribel on PS1 and PS5. Your father is Borkano Pollock. I saw something interesting in a Japanese Dragon Quest VII guidebook. Borkano had an English spelling just under the Japanese, and it was spelled as volcano. So that's probably the inspiration for his name. Your uncle is Hondara Pike. The king is Burns Donald. The starting town is Fishbell Pilchard Bay. A pilchard is a real fish, by the way. The food you bring to your father is an anchovy sandwich, a fish sub, a pilchard sandwich. The town in the forest on the first dark island is Uddoparuna, Rexwood, Ballymaloy. So the original hero's name was Paruna, which could be pronounced in English as Paruna, Paluna, or Parna. Then it was changed to Rex, and now to Malloy. Patrick is Patrick in all three versions. Patrick's favorite female warrior with pink armor is Matilda, or Maeve. And Patrick's father's name is Hank Hanlon. I'd like to ask you, the audience, why should localizers change the names of people in games? This isn't a trick question. Just answer to yourself what you think the general reason is that a localizer should change a character's name. I'll give you 5 seconds of silence. Okay, now answer me this. Does your answer account for the renaming of King Burns, who was named Banzu in Japanese, to King Donald? I'll use myself as an example. I think localizers should change a person's name to make it easier to read or more relatable to English speakers while preserving, as much as possible, the artist's original intent. It looks like my answer does not account for changing King Burns to King Donald, does it? Why Donald? I can totally get behind changing Paruna to Rex or even Malloy. From the view of the American, there is no such name as Paruna. But how is Donald more relatable or easier to read than Burns? You know what I think the reason is? I think it's because the name Kiefer reminds people of the actor Kiefer Sutherland, whose father happens to be named Donald Sutherland. Now, if you ask the legendary translator of Final Fantasy XII, Alexander O. Smith, who through his localization, helped create the greatest character in Final Fantasy, Vaughn, he'll tell you that there is no such thing as a rogue localizer. That's what he said on the Resonant Arc podcast. There is no way to rogue localize a game because of all the steps and all the people doing revisions and things like this. So this wasn't just a person's secretly inserted joke. He said to someone above him, I'm just assuming the localizer is a man because we all know not a single woman works in the game industry. He said to someone above him, who said to the person above him, all the way up to the top, that he wanted to name the character King Donald, and they all agreed. That means one of the following situations happened. Number one, a localizer in the chain actually thinks Donald was better, and everyone else agreed with whatever reason he gave, and it was okay. I find this highly unlikely because I can't see how Donald is better than Burns. Number two, a lot of freedom was given to the localizers, and they didn't have to go through as many checks as Alexander O. Smith suggested. I also find this unlikely. Number three, they asked Yuji Horii what kind of feeling Japanese people have when they hear the name Banzu, and in response to his answer, they thought, you know what name gives off that exact same atmosphere to us English speakers? Donald. And Horii himself okayed it. I find this even more unlikely because the name Donald doesn't evoke any particular feeling. Number four, the name Banzu was actually some kind of joke or reference in Japanese. And in order to emulate this in the English version, they named him after Donald Sutherland. It's possible. But I also find this one unlikely because I think that Horii just wanted a Western-sounding name for his European-style medieval fantasy game. In that guidebook I mentioned before, it writes his name in English as Barnes. B-A-R-N-E-S. And lastly, number five. A localizer wanted to insert a reference to Kiefer Sutherland's father because he is desperate to be seen as a localizer who is essential to the creation of this game rather than just a translator who translates Yuji Horii's artistic intent into other languages so that people can understand Yuji Horii. People don't want to understand you. They want to understand Yuji Horii. And it just so happens that all of the localizers on the team are the same way, and that's why they all agreed to this stupid change. You know, it doesn't matter if you think number five isn't the actual situation that happened. If you think it was one of the other ones or a completely different one, completely different thing that I didn't think of, that's fine. But at least now you know that I thought of as many possibilities as I could, that I'm not blindly jumping onto some anti-localizer crusade wagon without a thought. That's enough about that for now, though. It's time to find out if this game really is as slow as everyone says it is. And then I'm going to show you Yuji Horii's true intent with Dragon Quest VII. Welcome to my video. In the PS1 version, you came back from a secret place with your friend Kiefer. Your other friend, Maribel, wants you to tell her about it, but it's time to go to bed. So you sleep and wake up the next morning for the Amit harvest. And there's a name I forgot. Amito in Japanese, Amit on PS1, and Mayor Maid on PS5. Amit is the mayor, the father of Maribel, and the owner of the boat. So the festival is named after him. Now, if I wanted to be an asshole, I could say that the game has started right here. You're playing the game. What do you mean the game's too slow? It only took a minute. Okay, I know what you mean. This doesn't count because you only have an entire town of people with charming dialogue and multiple large houses with barrels, treasure chests, pots, and sacks to experience. You can go into a house, steal all their stuff, and then talk to the wife And she'll say, "You and my husband are the only men in the village now, and I trust you more than my husband." That's called an experience. Anyway, if you talk to all these people, you'll get some fun dialogue that was cut from the remake. Like this cute girl over here who says, quote, "Men of the sea are the best men ever and I want to them." End quote. They didn't just cut her dialogue, they cut her. She's just not there in the remake. When you talk to your father, he says that you were so damn slow that he could have made another child and had that one bring him the sandwich before you got there. That wasn't even in the original Japanese. They didn't leave that in the remake either. So now you go into the ship and find Maribel. She totally wanted to go on the boat, but thanks to you, that's not gonna happen. After the boat leaves, you are summoned to the castle by King Burns himself. Maribel asks you to take her with you so she can go shopping. Women and shopping. Am I right, fellas? So you get there, she goes off into the town, you head up to the castle, and the king tells you that you have to keep an eye on his son Kiefer. Just make sure he doesn't do anything too bad. When you come back from the castle, you get to start playing the game. We have a whole new town that's even bigger than the first one with tons of colorful characters. There's a guy that got tired of everybody and decided to become a hermit. There's a castle guard that says that he can't believe that he gets paid to be a knight when it's this freaking peaceful. That's called world building. If you talk to people outside, they'll say that Orca, the shopkeeper's son, got a cute new girlfriend. And if you go find Orca, you'll find out that his new girlfriend is Maribel. You're not gonna stand for that, are you? So play the game. Immerse yourself in the world and the role, and tell this jack-off to somebody else. Maribel doesn't actually want Orca. She's just trying to see what you'll do. So do something. Play the game. No, you're not gonna play the game. This part doesn't count as playing the game. Okay, fine, we'll wait till the game actually starts, whenever that is. After this, you can find Kiefer at the ancient ruins. He'll say, "Check this out," and give you an ancient scroll. And that's it. I was thinking that when he said, "Check this out," he was going to explain what he found. But nope. Instead, you have to find the item in your inventory and check it out yourself by using it. This is a tutorial. You're going to be using items directly from your inventory many times during just this opening sequence. Kiefer thinks he needs to put something on top of the statue's scepter to open the ruins. He tries the sunstone ring, but it doesn't do anything. Kiefer leaves you with the ancient scroll. So now, what do you want to do? If you were to play the game by putting yourself in the shoes of the hero, what would you want to do? I can honestly tell you that my first thought was that I want to go to Maribel's house and tell her about what I did and show her the ancient scroll. Because she's cute and she actually isn't that obnoxious when you're nice to her. And she totally wants you to let her in on it. So I'm gonna do that. And holy salami, that was exactly the right thing to do. She suggests that I take it to a guy, who in turn suggests that I take it to another guy, who says he can decipher it if you give him some time. Now, I suppose this next part is pretty hard to figure out, but if you go to Estar now, you can find your uncle, Hondara, at the bar, hitting on the bunny girl waitress. Then he leaves and passes out drunk in his house. If you go there and try to wake him up, a large stone called a hot stone will fall out of his pocket. I wonder if that is the item needed to complete the scepter that the statue is holding. On your way out, if you talk to the ladies next to the well, they'll say that they saw something glimmer down there. If you go down there, you'll find a pearl orb. Dude! You know what's usually on top of a magic staff? A pearly-ass orb. Are you immersed yet? One of these has got to be the right item. Run to the ruins, try them both. They fail. there's a note from Kiefer on the statue. You go meet him in his room and tell him everything. He joins you to go talk to the hermit who has deciphered the ancient scroll. It says that one who is pure of heart must pray to the statue. On your way back from finding this out, Kiefer will be told by some guards that the king has summoned him. So he tells you to wait for him at your house. So you go home and go to sleep. Early the next morning, before the sun comes up, Kiefer arrives at your house. You both go to the ruins. You pray before the statue. The door opens, and now the game has definitively begun. I don't want to hear about how there aren't any battles. That's not Dragon Quest. This is what's called a puzzle dungeon. Have you ever heard of a puzzle dungeon? It's a dungeon with puzzles. And I would say that puzzle dungeons are usually better designed than regular JRPG dungeons. Let's be honest. Which dungeons would you say are more carefully crafted? Zelda's or Final Fantasies? It's not even close. A lot of JRPGs just create a path with some branches on it and a chest with a freaking potion at each dead end. I can totally enjoy a simple-ass dungeon like that. But whenever I see something more involved, it's so much more impressive every time. Now, are you really gonna sit there and tell me that the game hasn't actually started while you're sitting in one of the best designed dungeons you've ever seen? I don't think I need to continue to outline every single step of the game anymore. The point of all this was to say that you were playing the game the whole time. I understand what people mean when they say the game is slow. The main mechanic of JRPGs is leveling up, and you don't reach a battle zone until 3 hours in. Even so, it doesn't really make sense to me that this game became so infamous for being slow. Back when it came out, it was the first Dragon Warrior since the NES era. In Dragon Warrior 1 and 2, you had to talk to everyone. You had to find several completely invisible items just for the main story. Dragon Warrior 7 does basically that again. And it's too slow? It was made this way intentionally. They wanted to take advantage of the 3D environments on PlayStation, and they wanted the game to focus on puzzle solving. If you look at the reviews on Game FAQs and Metacritic, it looks like Dragon Warrior 7 didn't betray people's expectations. The average of all the scores on Game FAQs is 8 out of 10. On Metacritic, it's an 8.2. Where did the whole "it's too slow because no battle in the intro" thing come from? Do all those 8, 9, and 10-point reviews say that the game is amazing, but I wish they would hurry up and get to the battling? How faithful is the translation of the PS1 version? How faithful is the translation of the PS5 version? Is translation even the right word? Should I say localization instead? There is a war going on right now about English localization of Japanese art and whether or not it's faithful enough to the Japanese artist's intentions. I believe this war is being waged almost entirely on the internet. There are two main factions. There are the gamers that believe leftist ideology is being inserted into the English version of games and anime, and they don't like it. The other side is the insiders, which includes mini-game localizers and most of the video game website journalists and writers who disagree with the gamers. Many bystanders have also taken sides. There are the people that want English versions of games to be direct translation of the Japanese. There are people that are more extreme than others about what you can consider wokeness in games. There are people who say if you like sexy characters, you need to be put on a list. There are people that ask, who cares if they change one little thing? You listening to this, thank you for listening. I'm being as clinical as possible right now. Whichever side you are on, you can use this video to judge Dragon Warrior 7. I'm now going to show you a handful of lines from the game in 3 different versions of the game, including the original Japanese PS1 version written by Yuji Horii himself. If you think I've overlooked something important, bring it up to me in the comment section. I'm still small enough to answer all the comments, so your message won't be written in vain. Exhibit A. I brought up this one earlier. On PS1, quote, "I just love men of the sea," unquote. In Japanese, quote, "Umi no toko te suteki," end quote. This is practically a direct translation. In the remake, this entire character is cut. She would be standing right here, but she isn't. Exhibit B. Your father says that you were so slow in bringing him his sandwich that he could have had another child and had him bring the sandwich in that time. In the original Japanese, it doesn't say this. It just says that you're slow and you're always playing around while you walk. On PS5, he just says, "You took your time, my lad." Exhibit C, PS1. Your father says, "Take care of your mother while I'm away." The Japanese version says that as well, as does the PS5 version. Exhibit D, PS1. It's nice to see you two together. One might even call you inseparable. In Japanese, she just says, "It's nice to see you always getting along well." She doesn't say the second line. On PS5, she says that same thing as the Japanese version, and then Maribel finishes the conversation by saying, "Bah! Me and you get on? That lady's really got the wrong end of the stick." Exhibit E. In both PS1 versions, the shopkeeper's wife doesn't like that girl because she's selfish, referring to the girl Orca has been hanging out with, which is Maribel. In the PS5 version, instead of saying "I don't like her," she says, "I think Orca can do better than her." And instead of saying she's selfish, she calls Maribel a headstrong little madam. Exhibit F. This is a big exhibit. In this house, there is a mother, father, and daughter. In the original Japanese version, the daughter is standing next to the bathtub. If you talk to her, she'll say that it's rude to peep at a girl in the bath. In the English PS1 version, she's in the bedroom and says that it's rude to peep at a girl while she's putting on her makeup. The PS5 version is basically the same as the English PS1 version. The father, in both PS1 versions, says that your uncle tried to look at my wife while she was taking a bath. The PS5 version just says that he was leering at her through a window, not while she was taking a bath. The mother says in both PS1 versions, "Oh my, I have to start making dinner." In the PS5 version, she starts talking about man-eating bears in the hills to the east. Exhibit G. In both of the PS1 versions, Kiefer's sister, the Princess of Estard, has magnificent clothes in her dresser, and she speaks eloquently. In the PS5 version, you don't get a message about magnificent clothing in her dresser, and when you talk to her, she has a lisp. That's when you pronounce the letter F like this. Exhibit H. In both PS1 versions, the maid in Maribel's house is singing, "I'm a maid, I'm such a pretty maid." On PS5, she sings, "A maid's work is never done, a maid's work is never that much fun." Exhibit I. In both PS1 versions, the dressers are filled with women's clothing. On PS5, they aren't. Exhibit J. The party stays at the inn in Rexwood/Ballymaloy, and Maribel speaks to you while you're in bed. On PS1, she says that Patrick understands how to treat a lady. She's referring to the fact that he paid for them to stay at the inn. In Japanese, she says that he's so considerate to pay for them to stay at the inn. But all of that is preceded by the word chanto. Chanto implies that it was the proper or correct thing for him to pay for them or for just her. So I consider the PS1 English to be more or less a direct translation. On PS5, she says, "It was nice of Patrick to pay for our rooms. He's such a considerate boy, unlike some I could mention. After that, she asks in Japanese, "Do you miss home?" In English, "There must be some wonderful girls you left behind" was added to that. On PS5, she pretends to be sad and says, "I want to go home. I miss my mother and father." And then she says, "Only joking. Haha, got you." Only a massive wimp would say something like that. Exhibit K. You're in the cave looking for the green ore to save Patrick's father. You come across Matilda, or Maeve. In all three versions, the party asks her to join them to help save Patrick's father. In the original, she says, "No, I can't be taking care of Patrick's needs all the time," and leaves. Kiefer then says that Matilda is such a cold person to leave Patrick in such a situation. In the English PS1 version, she says the same thing and leaves, and Kiefer says that she has, quote, "a viscous mass of depravity," end quote, where her heart used to be. And in the PS5, this cracks me up. In the PS5 version, Matilda says, "Okay, sure, why not?" and joins the party. Exhibit L. In both PS1 versions, the maid in Kiefer's room says that the room stinks like a man. On the PS5, she says that the prince is about to turn 18. This place is getting more smelly every day. Exhibit M. The original Japanese and the PS5 version, Maribel screams, and Kiefer says, "That's Maribel's voice." In the PS1 English version, Kiefer adds the line, "I'd know that I messed it up. I'd know that shrill shriek anywhere." And lastly, Exhibit N. In both PS1 versions, when you talk to the maid about Maribel, she says, "She's pretty, but with a personality like that, she's such a waste." On PS5, she says, "She's a beautiful girl, but she's anything but ladylike." As you can see, all possible situations are occurring here. Sometimes both versions are completely faithful. Sometimes neither. Sometimes only the PS1 English version. And exactly one time, the PS5 version was more faithful than the PS1 version. But Zoltan, I hear you ask, what does all this mean? Based on these exhibits, we can, for the most part, objectively judge how faithful the translation is. We can't judge if it's better or worse, but we can judge how faithful it is. For every phrase studied in these exhibits, every time the PS1 or PS5 version is too different from the original Japanese version, subtract a point. I did it, and the total came out to -6 for PS1 and -15 for PS5. That means the PS5 version is 2.5 times as unfaithful as the PS1 version. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is so unfaithful, it's a hoe. Would you guys watching this rather play with an unfaithful hoe or a chaste virgin? If you doubt my method, go back and listen again and score each thing yourself. Whether you are more lenient or more strict than I am, there's no way you're going to come out with the PS5 version as more faithful than the PS1 version. There's just no way it's gonna happen. Obviously, these phrases were cherry-picked by me. There's no way to do this without cherry-picking unless we want to compare every line in the entire game. So I picked all the lines that had to do with love, with how girls and boys are supposed to be, with people's appearance, and any other line that I thought could possibly be viewed as offensive. If you think I forgot some important lines, bring them up in the comment section. I could probably look them up and address them either in a reply or in another video. Like I said, I don't get a lot of comments, so I'll be able to address your comment, and I will be 100% good faith with you. I was originally going to talk about all the differences made to combat next, but I've decided to save that for the review of the full game. So let's move on to all the other changes that are more specific to the intro. They cut the entire first puzzle dungeon out of the remake. They cut out the cool secret entrance to it along with it. You don't have to find the shards on your own anymore because you always have quest markers. These quest markers remove so much mystery and trial and error and immersion, even if you are trying to ignore them. The shards are obviously meant to work like puzzle pieces, but you no longer have to find the right place to put them. The fact that they removed something as simple and fun as a jigsaw puzzle mechanic really gets my goat. Matilda's outfit has been censored. As you can see in the original PS1 version, it was pretty hot. Oh yeah, look at those sexy pixels. It makes me wanna... In the 3DS remake that came out a while back, she's similarly hot. And in the PS5 remake, she's wearing shorts under her bikini armor. A spit in the faces of all bikini armor enthusiasts, and an insult to the legendary Akira Toriyama who designed it, and a massive setback for the entire bikini armor artistic genre. Fucking fascists. The bunny girl in the end has also been censored. The bunny girl costume was already censored back on the 3DS remake, and they have kept that version of the costume for the PS5 version. Fascists! In the first dungeon in Rexwood, this puzzle got changed to this puzzle. It's a little easier. The second puzzle got changed to this puzzle. Also a little easier. I believe this is party chat. As you can see, they give you hints on how to solve the puzzle. When you visit this dungeon again after it's emerged in the present, all 4 of these puzzles, which are much harder than the previous 2, are cut entirely. I'd like to give a shout out to the new party chat system. I'll go into more depth about it in the full review, but one of the changes is that every time the story advances, they put up this annoying notification like, "You've got mail." And most of the time, it's just a repeat of where we gotta go next. Like, Hanlon says, "Let's go to the Monsters Tower and save the women." And then the party chat notification pops up, and you watch it, and Kiefer's like, "This is going to be a great adventure. Let's go to the Monsters Tower." It is infuriating. Please, give me an option to turn off the notifications. It's like my party members aren't characters at all. They're just social media apps. It's time to show you the biggest change to the opening section of the game. This video took me a really long time to make. Months, brah. If you like this kind of analysis and you want more of it, please share the video. Not just localization comparisons, but also gameplay analysis and things like this. After this one, I want to make another video about Dragon Quest VII Reimagined versus the original for the purpose of seeing which version is better across the entire game. And this will be the most thorough and objective video out there. I'd also like to cover Dragon Quest VIII ahead of any remakes that might come out for it, so I can easily make the comparison when one releases. There are also rumors of FF9 and Chrono Trigger remakes, and I really care about how they will be reimagined. In case you can't tell, I'm not particularly on board with the reimagining of old games. I view that word reimagine as just a way for these companies to escape criticism from people like me who care about the legacy of the greatest Japanese artists who ever lived. If Yuji Horii wants a puff scene and Akira Toriyama wants sexy bikini armor and bunny girl suits, then that's what I want. I want to see the artist's idea without all this molestation from censors and ideologues. You might think that I'm setting myself up to grift people for money, that I'm just jumping on the anti-woke bandwagon because it could be lucrative. Well, while I admit that doing this full-time would be a dream come true, I'd like to think that I've demonstrated a level of knowledge and passion about this situation that proves that I am actually invested in this. It should be apparent by now that I am neither what they call a tourist nor a grifter. Anyway, It's only the second video on this channel. You'll see that I'm genuine as more videos release. Hopefully the next one will come out faster than this one did. I hope you'll share this video with someone, but either way, thanks for watching. There is actually a major story change in the PS5 version. It's optional, but I really don't like it because it's bad. Let me give you the story in chronological order. In all versions, Patrick's father, Hank, went to the monster's tower alone to try to save the kidnapped women. He was defeated but not killed. Next, Patrick went out to find his father when he didn't return. Upon seeing Patrick, the leader of the monsters, Matilda, felt sorry for him. She didn't want Patrick to become a monster like she did. So Matilda carried Patrick and Hank back to town, saving their lives. Here is where things change. In the PS1 versions, after you heal Hank, he asks you to come with him to kill the monsters. You do it, the village is saved, and when this island emerges in the present, you'll see that they built a tower in honor of Hank called Hank's Tower. In the PS5 version, Hank is named Hanlon and Matilda is named Maeve. You go to the tower ahead of Hanlon, who needs time to prepare. Before you go, you have the option to give Patrick a doll that Maeve gave you to pass on to Patrick. She gave this to you when you met her earlier, before you find out that she is the leader of the monsters. If you don't give it to him, Hanlon will show up in time to fight the boss with you, and the ending will be basically the same as the original game. If you give him the doll, the ending changes. You go to the tower. When you find Maeve, Hanlon and all the villagers show up to help you. You kill her, the women are saved, and when you visit this island in the present, oh my god, you'll see that they built the exact same tower. But this time, they built the tower in honor of the village hero, Maeve. They named it the Tower of Maeve. They built the tower in honor of the woman who became a monster and kidnapped their wives and daughters. What is this ending? Why is the bad guy venerated as the hero? Is there some kind of message being pushed in here? Because I find it hard to believe that the writers really thought this would be a great ending. Do you understand what this ending reduces to? It reduces down to, bad thing happened to the best of us, so she was justified in kidnapping our families and deserves a tower built in her honor. That's the least ideological interpretation I can give here. You want the ideological interpretation? How about criminals are just victims of society? Or nobody is evil, they're just misunderstood. How about one of those? I view this ending as the new default ending and the original ending as the new alternate ending. Why, you ask? Well, why wouldn't you give the doll to Patrick? The only reason would be if you want to roleplay as an asshole. And if you decide not to give him the doll, the game asks you, are you sure? Placing doubt in the player's mind. If you want to give the doll to him, the game doesn't ask you if you're sure. You just give him the doll. So I wouldn't be surprised if nearly every player got this ending. Let's wrap this all up. Here are all the conclusions you can arrive at based on what I have presented today. The original Dragon Warrior 7 expects the player to immerse himself in the world and the role. That's why there's the party chat system, charming NPC dialogue, a silent protagonist, and that's why you have to talk to everyone and search houses and dungeons carefully for hidden items to progress. With the exception of the party chat system, Dragon Quest games have always been this way. Therefore, it is clinically insane to say that the opening is slow. Fighting monsters may be the main mechanic in these games, but it is not the only one. As far as the opening is concerned, the original PS1 American translation is mostly faithful to the original Japanese, with some colorful alterations to NPC dialogue. Reimagined has 2.5 times as much altered NPC dialogue, plus cut NPCs, censored clothing, and an entirely new and stupid optional ending for its first story arc. Reimagined cuts out the entire first dungeon of the game because it had way too many awesome puzzles in it. It also cuts out all of the puzzles in the Colorstone Mine dungeon in the present. This, combined with a bunch of changes to the combat and the various difficulty settings, makes the game extremely forgettable and goes against Yuji Horii's original intent. I'm Zoltan. This is the second video of this channel, and I ask you to help make this channel a success if you like what I've done here. Thank you for watching. May God bless you on your adventures.